How's it going, everybody? Peace and blessings. This is your boy Teddy. I want to teach a real quick class on Instagram Live or Facebook Live, but the powers that be in the building that I'm in does not allow me to do that, and my 4G speed isn't up to snuff. So I am going to instead record this and give it to you for free because I think that it's really important. Plus, I think it can reach more people if I just record this regularly. So again, my name is Charles Galloway. My friends call me Teddy. You're a friend, please call me Teddy. I'm an instructor. I've been teaching different varieties of things, either whether it's in the military or it's in corporate world, or it's just to individuals, including young college and high school students, and mentoring and whatnot, and coaching. One of the things that I like to do is to make people inspired and to feel empowered to make their own decisions in their life. I believe that every single person was born with a purpose and was born for a purpose, and their purpose is to discover it and to do it. I believe that service to God is not something we do in worship, but it's an action that we take to improve the world, improve ourselves. And I believe that if everybody were to follow their dreams and were to be the person that they desired and wished and thought that they should be and always knew they are, then we'd have a much better world. But I would like to cut to the chase, and we're going to talk about three important things today. First, we're going to talk about the types of people that there are. This isn't a limited list. This is an expanded list, but I'm breaking every type of person down into three types so that you can clearly articulate and understand it. And it's the same across the board. It doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. It doesn't matter if they're kings or queens. It doesn't matter if they're hardworking or not hardworking. It's just a person. It's just a type of person. And this type of person is influenced by their life decisions. We're going to talk about drama and what drama is and what victimhood and victimization is. And then finally, we're going to talk about self-empowerment, what self-empowerment means and how you can achieve it, and the process and the steps and the things that you need to accomplish before you do it. So without further ado, let's get to this info. Oh, and I'm going to sit on this side. It's going to be hard to see. I'm going to do my best not to turn my back to you, but I am recording this by myself. And it's very limited. Let's see. Yeah. So first, we're going to talk about the different types of people. You'll notice a lot of these types of people in the world when we're talking about them, but I want to make this as quick as possible. The first type of person is a drifter. A drifter is somebody who just kind of floats along in life. Now, let's imagine that life is a river. A drifter is a type of person who jumps into the river or is on a boat in the river without udders, and they can't steer and they can't figure out where they're going, and they have no idea what they're doing. This type of person usually just gets into things, floats through life, and they usually blame their circumstances or their situation on why they haven't become more. Now, the problem with a drifter is a drifter gets very depressed, a drifter gets very anxious, a drifter gets very upset about their current, their past, and their future. And the reason why they do that is because they're out of control. They're not taking control, and all of their lives, it looks just like things are happening to them. A drifter would blame circumstance, and a drifter would say that somebody who succeeds is lucky, and somebody who doesn't succeed is just unlucky, when nothing could be further from the truth. And then finally, we have builders, or let's say we have destroyers. There are two types of destroyers. They're the drifters who, if they can't have what they want out of life, start destroying other people's lives. Then you have other destroyers who that's what they're made to do. Like, they're born to do that. They were born to come in and F things up, and that's just what they do. You can find them in every society and every time and culture. Some people call them sociopaths, some call them psychopaths. Other people just seem to actually just want to break things down and destroy. This comes from either a place of unhappiness, or that's just how they are, and that's just the kind of person that they are. Either in both cases, if you are a drifter, you want to avoid them, and you don't want to become one. If you ever want the chance to really do something creatively or build anything in your life, one of the key elements that's really striking between both a drifter and a builder is blaming. It's victimhood. So we're going to get into victimhood next, but first I want to talk about a builder. And then you also have builders. Builders are people who take ingredients around their environment, people, resources, all the ingredients in their environment, and they create something. So there's this belief that your thoughts become your actions to a creator. So they have thoughts. Their thoughts turn into action planning. Their action planning turns into action taking, and their feedback that they get gives them the feeling of either being happy or sad about what they're creating, and that further creates a loop where they create a creativity loop. So you have builders, and you have destroyers, and then you have drifters. Most people in the world are drifters. Many people in the world are builders and many people in the world, or a lot more people in the world, it seems like right now, are destroyers. So let's talk about what this looks like in practice. So there are epics and there are drama. An epic is when we create stories. Our framework of life is a creation of stories. So there's epics and there's dramas. In a drama, there is a drama circle. There's some type of drama that's being played out in the story, and it's continuous and it's ongoing forever and ever and ever. Whereas in sometimes you have epics, and that is the story of the hero. It's somebody's individual story that they're telling to themselves. It's a story of growth and accomplishment, of overcoming adversity. It's that kind of story. Now, they have the same components, but it's all about who's telling the story. So in a drama, we're going to call this the dreaded drama triangle. This is from a book that I read. It's called The Power of Ted. Go figure. My name is Ted. Power of Ted. It's all about the empowerment dynamic, but he talks, before you go into the empowerment dynamic, there is a drama triangle. And anybody who's in drama already knows about this. And I'll reference some references. I'll shoot some references out there real quick. So in a drama triangle, let's use Batman, for instance. There is always a victim. And there's always a villain. In Batman, let's use the Joker as the villain. Okay? And the villain is going after the victims. Let's say Gotham City. And Gotham City, they need someone to come save them. Batman. That's the hero. Now what happens is the villain does something to harm the victim, and the victim feels like they're being harmed from by the victim, so they constantly search for a hero. There was a line in Batman when Harvey Dent and Batman were sitting on the table, who became Two-Face, were sitting on the table, and he says, you either live and die as a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And here's why. The victim always is in a place where they can't help themselves. They're in a victimhood place, a place where their story is that they cannot do anything to change the conditions of their lives. They're just stuck. They're stuck in this cycle of victimhood and victimization. Now, I'm not saying that it's like if somebody comes up to you and they hit you, you're being victimized. You didn't ask for it, you're being victimized. Being victimhood is an identity. It's when you believe that that's who you are. And there's a big difference. So if like a victim of some type of crime or some type of heinous act, they're being victimized, but then they can later become empowered, and they shed their victim identity, and they become something much more powerful. I'm talking about a different type of person. I'm talking about the type of person when something bad happens to them, there's nothing that they can do to solve it, and they don't take personal responsibility to make it happen. That's the whole purpose of this conversation. So the victim believes that they're a victim and nobody can help them, or they need somebody to help them. The villain recognizes that they're not going to help themselves, so they're constantly on the attack, or they're constantly out to get these people who aren't going to help themselves, like free lunch. And then you have this hero, and the hero himself has to look at the victims as a victim, because the hero is going to spend his life trying to save people that he feels can't save themselves. So they're all trapped in this drama loop. And they're all victims in this situation. As soon as the hero doesn't save the victim, then the hero becomes a villain. As soon as the hero saves the victim, then the victims will immediately turn on the hero, because now if the hero decides that they're going to harm the victim, then who else can save them? Think about Superman and what Batman says to Superman. He's like, hey, he's too powerful. He's like a god amongst these people. All he has to do is decide that he wants to take over, and that's it. I need a way to kill him. That's why the hero in Superman is a hero, but if he has absolute power, then now he controls the victims, and then he becomes a villain of the victims. Same as in Batman if he continues in Gotham City and didn't fake his own death. And likewise, even if the hero dies, then the villain is going to attack the victim. So no matter what, if you're a victim, you're going to stay a victim. Victimhood requires a complete overhaul of mindset change and a story that you tell yourself. So instead of telling yourself that you do not have any power to change the conditions or the circumstances that you're in, a victim that doesn't want to stay like this, they become empowered, or they seek empowerment. So this is called the empowerment dynamic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the same triangle. Okay. Now, before we had a victim here, but when a victim decides that they no longer want to be victims anymore, and they seek an opportunity to change, and they speak that change into existence, and they really crave it, and they take action, they become a creator. Okay. Now, when they become a creator, they're going to start looking at their world very differently. They're going to start looking at their world as if their world is something that provides them opportunities. So that villain becomes just a challenge. And being a competitive person, challenges can always be overcome as long as you have the right tools, resources, and abilities. And if you don't, you can go seek them. And we're going to talk about this as well. And then finally, that hero. Now that this person believes they can fix themselves, what is a somebody who believes that they can fix themselves, or somebody who believes that they can change their own lives? When they seek out a hero, what kind of hero they want to seek out? A coach, somebody to train them up, to show them how they did it before, how the other person did it. So instead of a hero, you get a coach. Instead of a victim, you get a creator. Instead of a villain, you get a challenge. This is called empowerment. Now, each one of these things are very key to changing your life. If you are a creator, you are deciding to take responsibility. And by taking responsibility, you have to break this down into two words: response-able. When you take responsibility, you are choosing to have the ability to respond to your situation. The challenge now provides you opportunity. So with great power comes responsibility, and whenever responsibility is taken, it's going to open up doors to opportunities. And whenever opportunities are present and you have some people in your corner that operate as coaches, they are going to hold you accountable. So responsibility, opportunity, and accountability. If you have the responsibility and you take responsibility for changing your life, for no longer being a victim, then you will find that all your challenges become opportunities, and you will also see that it's very clear and easy for you to see, hey, I'm at point A right now, and I want to get to point B. Why don't I talk to someone else who went from point A to point B and get them to coach me up on it? And then also, I need an accountability group. When a creator goes out and they find coaches and people to hold them accountable, this is called creating community. When you look at opportunities, this is creating a life. And when you're talking about here is, as a creator, you're creating life and you're creating community. You are going to become someone else's coach. You are going to become someone else's challenge potentially, and you're going to become somebody else's creator. You're going to become the creator of your own life. This is what is needed in our world today. If we look around, we have a whole world of people who are victims. If you look, and you can look at any facet of life. If you go into religion, and you look at what God represents to people, it's safety and security. It's saving them from their own self, saving them from their own actions. And because people identify with this character trait, it stops them from being able to develop into the positive, forefronting, innovative humans and mankind that they can be. Likewise, look in politics. We vote for people to get them in power so that they can have the power, so that they can have the responsibility to make the world better for all of us, instead of us taking responsibility for making the world better how we want. We look at jobs and we give the responsibility to bosses and to managers and to leaders to pay us based off of the actions that we take. But we're not taking responsibility for our own lives and doing the things that we want to do to have the lives that we want. We go out and instead of finding coaches, we look for heroes. We don't have people that hold us accountable, and we get uncomfortable when people tell us how they feel about us and what's going on. We don't need to feel bad about things that we do or about how we act. We just need to take responsibility for it and decide whether we want to be that way or not. So by recognizing that you've been dealing with drama your entire life, and recognize that drama is being played out in your entire life, this should give you the opportunity to see that there is something greener on the other side of the fence. And on the other side of this fence is the opportunity and the duty for you to take responsibility for your life. If you do not take responsibility for your life, you are a drifter. You will continue to float and you will continue to be a victim. And you can't complain to somebody else or use somebody else as an excuse as to why you didn't succeed. You don't get that opportunity. You aren't facing up to reality of your life and the situation of responsibility. If you want to travel the world, you need to do it. You need to create a plan. You need to figure out how to do it. You need to find a coach. If you want to work at a certain job, or if you want to start your own business, or if you want to be a writer, if you want to be or you want to be an actor, or if you want to doodle on boards and get paid to do it, you need to do that thing that you think you should be doing and practice it and become a master at it, so that way you cannot say, I didn't do my best. If you want to be a builder, then you're going to have to take responsibility. You're going to have to look at the world like it's opportunities instead of problems for you to complain about. And you're going to have to seek people who are going to hold you accountable. Your team means everything. The people that you surround yourself with are going to either help you get to where you're going, or they're going to stop you from getting to where you're going. If you surround yourself with other creators who are creating their lives, if you are surrounding yourself with other creators who are creating their lives, then you will have the opportunity not only to create your life and to be part of an awesome life, but to have a community of people who are going to do that with you. There is nothing more important in this world than creating your own life, finding a community, and recognize opportunities. And in all of these things, here, this right here requires that you have a positive mental attitude. A positive mental attitude is hope in a future, faith that things can happen, that magical things can happen for you, and that you can have the life that you want, and that your actions matter. And then gratitude, being grateful for the opportunity to live as we live and do as we do. A lot of people out in this world right now are suffering the effects of disorganization, disunity, unhealthiness, depression, anxiety, and that's because they're looking at if they're anxious, they're looking at the future and they don't know how they're going to create it. If they're depressed, they're looking at the past and they don't know how to overcome it. And a lot of us are just drifting along, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, not thinking about anything except for what food we're going to have the next day, where's our next drink going to come from, who are we going to hang out with, and what we're going to watch on TV. And this is a waste of life. And the problem that a lot of us are having is when we look at the world and we look at the problems of the world, we're looking at it as if it's somebody else's problem. It's not. The condition of the world is your problem. You're recognizing it because you're supposed to do something about it. You're seeing it because you're supposed to see it, because it's supposed to prompt you to do something about it. You can't look in the world and look at everybody else and what they are and are not doing and look and sit back and say, well, they suck, so I'm not going to do anything. No. It's your world too. You're supposed to create it. And I'm tired of people acting like they don't have the opportunity to do it. So take responsibility. See the world as in opportunities. Hold yourself and find people who are going to hold you accountable, and have gratitude and faith that your actions are going to work, and get busy and start doing the thing that you always meant to do. You were meant to be an outstanding public speaker, then start talking. If you are meant to be a writer, start writing. If you are meant to be an artist, start doing your art. Start performing your craft, and stop complaining to people and stop complaining about the world, and stop using other people as excuses as to why you're not succeeding in your life. It's absolutely bonkers that we live in a world full of people who do this. We live in a world full of drifters who think that they are builders and who are actually destroyers. We live in a world full of people who aren't following their dreams and aren't following their desires, and who aren't doing and aren't living their lives to the fullest. And they love people and they're not telling them that they love them. And they're doing things and they're not saying, I'm sorry for doing them. Like, people are hurting out here and we need to make a change. So in 2018, and I know that you're going to go out there and you say you have these New Year resolutions, and many of you have already started to fail at your New Year's resolutions. It's because you aren't taking responsibility. You're naturally a drifter, and it's hard to go from drifter to a empowered creator. It's very difficult, but you can do it. I know you can do it. I know you can do it because I've done it, and I know I've done it because I had to do it. It was important to me that I live my life to the fullest, and I'm doing it right now. So may you be forgiven of all of your mistakes. May you forgive yourself of your mistakes. May you forgive the people in your past, and may you have an outstanding life. Peace and blessings, everybody. I hope that this wasn't too harsh, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future. Bye.